up in red states, and in Michigan there's an explosion of COVID, and Governor Gretchen Whitmer is really, she's got, well, for example, the Republican-controlled legislature in Michigan passed a law. She's trying to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine out to as many people as possible because it's one shot and you're done. And for people who might have any, vaccine hesitancy or whatever, this is something that really works for them. And so they passed a law saying that everybody who is going to get the J&J shot has to be informed that fetal cells were used in the original testing of it. It was tested on fetal cells. Right. I mean, and out of this now comes this conspiracy theory that, oh my God, some of these vaccines have baby parts in them. One of these cons said this over the weekend. It's like in national television, it's like, what are you talking about? Well, that's what they're talking about. They actually passed a law in Michigan saying that, and Michigan had to update their website about the vaccines to include that language. So what we're seeing now is that the effort to create herd immunity, to have 70 to 90% of us vaccinated. Herd immunity, by the way, is something that happens in the context of vaccines. It's a phrase that came about as a consequence of the era of vaccines. It's a 20th century phrase. It's not what Scott Atlas and Donald Trump were promoting, which is let's just let everybody get sick. That's not how herd immunity works. So why is it that when they were promoting herd immunity before the vaccines were available by simply saying let's let everybody get sick, they were all in favor of herd immunity then when Trump was president, but now they're doing everything they can to stop herd immunity. You've got these wild conspiracy theories. You've got vaccine hesitancy being promoted on Fox News and across the board on right-wing radio and television. You've got, as of Thursday, this remarkable piece that Mark Sumner wrote for the Daily Kos. As of Thursday, Civics, this is the polling place, showed 41% of Republicans saying that they would definitely not accept a COVID-19 vaccine, while another 10% remain unsure. The percentage of Republicans who now say they want a shot is 18%. And as a result, you're seeing in red states, in Mississippi, only 25% of adults have been vaccinated. The national, by the end of this week, it's going to be half of all of us nationwide. But in Mississippi, they're at 1/4. Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee, also real low rates. And in Ohio and Oklahoma, the governors of both those states have come out and said, we're having a problem getting people to come in and take this vaccine. Rural county in Missouri saw 1,500 doses go unused. At the same time that, this was in Missouri, St. Louis is in Missouri. At the same time in St. Louis, with a large urban population, a large black population, as well as a lot of people who just live in a city, which tend to be places to vote Democratic, they had literally 100 people applying for every one shot that was available. So why is this going on? Why is it that when Ron DeSantis got vaccinated, he and his wife got vaccinated, they basically hid it from the public? Why is it that when Donald Trump and his wife got vaccinated, they hid it from the public? What the hell is going on here? Well, what you have to understand is that Donald Trump's, the core, the basis, his core re-election strategy, the basis of his re-election strategy was let 500,000 people die. If 500,000 Americans die, and that's what it takes to get reelected, said Donald Trump in essence, I'm willing to do that. And we see these graphs on television and on the internet and whatnot of, the coronavirus, of the number of cases or the number of deaths. The graphs look pretty much the same. And there's this bulge in November, December, and early January. Why is that? Well, it's pretty straightforward. That bulge is there because Donald Trump was pushing people in October and November, September, October, and early November, was pushing people to get back into the workplace. Why was he pushing people to get back into the workplace? Reopen stores, go into stores without masks, forget all the mask stuff, forget all of that, coronavirus stuff, just go back to work. Why was he doing that? Because he knew that no president who presides over an economic disaster is ever reelected. And you can see this throughout American history. The single largest factor that determines whether a president gets reelected is the economy. Number one. So Trump thought, and this is what I wrote about over at HartmannReport.com on Saturday. The headline is "The Republican Plot to Stop Herd Immunity and Flip America into Authoritarianism." That basically Donald Trump's election strategy was let people die. As long as it juices the economy, as long as, we'll get millions of Americans, and it turned out it was like over 20 million Americans, we'll get millions of Americans to throw themselves into the teeth of this virus. And yeah, 500,000 might die, but still, we got millions of Americans throwing themselves into the teeth of this virus, and by going back to work and by going shopping, maybe that'll stimulate the economy enough that by November, by the election day in November, there will be enough of a good economy that people will vote to reelect Donald Trump. That was his strategy. I mean, it is so obvious that was his strategy. But then it changed. Why did it change? Why is it that after he lost the election by 7 million votes and lost the Electoral College by the same margin that Hillary Clinton lost it 4 years earlier, why is it that after Trump lost the election, he and Republican governors like DeSantis and Abbott and his cronies and toadies, why is it that they started discouraging herd immunity? They started spreading stories about how, a vaccine might be kind of dangerous. Maybe it has baby parts in it. Maybe, all this weird crap. Why? Well, it's very simple. Think about it for a minute. The coronavirus took down Trump's presidency. Had that virus not hit, Donald Trump probably would have gotten reelected if he'd been able to maintain a good economy. Because that's what happens. Right? The economy is the major variable. Yeah, he was a fascist, but Americans just look at their paychecks. So the coronavirus took him down. Now he wants it to take down Joe Biden. And in Democratic states where you've got elections coming up next year for governor, for Secretary of State, for all your statewide offices, in those Democratic, states with Democratic governors, they want those governors to fail. There's a reason why Republicans passed that legislation in Michigan to make it harder for Gretchen Whitmer, Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, to get people to come in and take vaccines. And the reason why is they're trying to sabotage her. So they allowed the death of 500,000 Americans to try to keep Trump in office. Didn't work. So now they're trying to cause the death of another 500,000 Americans to try to cause Biden and Harris to lose office in 3 years and to prevent Democratic governors from having electoral victories in a year and a half, in November of next year. I just see this as absolutely straightforward. I mean, you look at these graphs and there's that giant bulge right around the election. Gee, what a surprise. Why doesn't anybody talk about this? That Trump's election strategy was let people die. If it juices the economy, I don't care. That was his strategy in a nutshell. And now the Republican strategy is we're going to continue to let people die by encouraging them not to get the vaccine, because the more people we can get die in, for example, Michigan, the more people we can cause to die in Michigan, the worse it's going to look for Gretchen Whitmer. And maybe a Republican will have a chance of taking the governorship. Isn't this obvious to everybody? What am I missing here? Why is it that nobody's talking about it in these terms?